share in either wisdom, story, or logic. And it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people unique to their own journeys and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hal on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others.
Welcome everybody back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited to have back for a second time someone who's an artist known for his music project Enigma, which blends elements of electronic, ambient, and world music. He's also a podcast host of The Truth Table, where they discussed faith, philosophy, contemporary issues, and recently political stuff. He had a bunch of people from the PPC party. So welcome back to the Missing Link Live, Paul Everton. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm great. Thanks for having me once again. Thanks for coming on my show too. And I suppose I should have brought a shovel just in case we fall into a rabbit hole, which is quite possible, just to dig myself out. So as you know, I love studying, different religions. I have the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, which I think Angelina is like in this book. Like I think she's more of spiritually connected to source, and so I think I like all of them. I think they all give me a piece of the puzzle. I think I've realized why they don't want you reading each other's books, because there are conflicts. And but it's definitely probably the most important thing I've ever delved into is trying to find out who we are, where we came from, what happened to us, what's our true history, why did we make beautiful cathedrals when 100 years ago, and we make boxes today, and without any thought or consideration. We contaminated the food, we contaminated the houses, we had asbestos in our houses, and meanwhile we have hemp, which is the most productive of all crops. It grows the fastest, and it's very abundant and quick, and it could make insulation and make your house fireproof. It can make patio tiles 3 times lighter and 3 times stronger. So that would be roads too. We could do our roads that way. There's just so many things that we could go into. And they all matter to me, and I think they matter to you too. I think we're basically singing to the choir when it comes to talking to each other, because you say a lot of things and I'm going, yep. And if anything we could do, I think that's valuable, is to give that information to people in a, because I think it's timely right now. I think we're getting into biblical. Hello, Patrick. Getting to biblical times. At least it seems that way to me. It seems to all coalesce, and I think one way they divided us was by dividing the information. Dividing the information, like the Bible will. I think I told you last time. I'm not going to get into that story because there's a little darkness in it, but I had a revelation at 16, and I knew there was God. I just didn't know where, what, when, who. I didn't know anything. I just knew that there was a God. I just didn't know what my purpose was. And I think both of us are fulfilling our purpose in our own way. I think we all have a part to play. And for me, it's getting at the truth, finding the truth, and then blurting it out. Like, most people don't know there's 4 popes. It's just not a common knowledge. They just think there's one pope and that's it. But there's a black pope, and He's he's military arm, and then the Red Pope from the Philippines. He's the LGBTQ uh, 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 pusher. He pushes that. He does it secretly. He's not known, and he does it through the media and through he's the arm of the LGBT basically. And then we have the Gray Pope, Orsini. Uh, what's his first name again? I think you probably know.
Pepe.
Pepe. Yeah, see what I mean? I told you, it's like we have all the same information, which is great because we're over the target, which is nice to know because that's what we want. We want the truth. We want the target. We want to know what the target is. And so my beginnings began after that event. I prayed, and my ex-wife was cheating on me, and I prayed. We weren't married yet, but she had like 8 affairs. I mean, whew. I mean, she had an issue with. She thought monogamy was a wood, but I
She
prayed.
thought monogamy was mahogany. Mahogany.
Yeah, she thought it was a kind of wood that was
She needed
plentiful. Apparently,
kind of wood that she needed to lay.
she found it very effective, and thank God for it. I'm sure. But uh, uh, so I prayed and I said, because I loved her. I wasn't married to her yet, but I loved her, and I thought, where is she? I want to find her, And I prayed about it. So I opened this. We don't have phone books anymore, but I opened the phone book, and because I asked around, the only thing I could get was his name was Joe, and I live in Niagara Falls, and like 80% of the men here are called Joe. It's very Italian, and everyone's Joe around here, and Anthony, Tony, and Joe, and so I thought I'm never going to find him. So I prayed. I opened the book, and I just pointed, and I saw Joe. I called the number. She answered the phone. I went to the house. She answered the door in his robe. And she has like 6 or 7 robes of her own, but she was wearing his robe, opened the door, saw me. Ever since then, she's been terrified of me. But that was based on a prayer. I mean, like God literally showed me
led you there.
where she was. And it was all based on faith, because I really prayed. I prayed properly. I prayed effectively. And that's what, if anything, that we could help do is to pray effectively. Otherwise, they're just giving their prayers up, breaking the first commandment all the time, left, right, and center, having no gods before you, no graven images. From heaven, if Jesus is in heaven, he should not be on a cross in the church. It's forbidden. It's the first commandment. Nothing from heaven in an image, engraven in. His mother Mary is dead. She shouldn't be there either. So the church is really, they just were not paying attention, or I don't know if they don't care, but they really failed mankind, because mankind deserves the truth when it comes to our creation. And that's not something to lie about. And it's almost unforgivable. Like, to me, it's just unforgivable that they would violate, what was said in the book. And, I don't know where you want to go with this, but it's I'm sure you probably know mostly everything I'm going to say.
I think it wasn't by ignorance, though. I think it was by design for them to twist things and warp things, and then, getting these priests to, touch these kids and get all these things just to have that more sex magic and to pervert and twist. And, obviously Satan's got his little hands in a lot of different pies, and, it keeps twisting things in every single direction. And it's, unfortunately led by a lot of religions who are actually doing the dirty work for the devil.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was my next prayer. Was, I want the truth. I want to find the truth. Because I was reading this. I was raised Catholic church, but I just didn't feel right. It's like there's contradictions in here. There's things that don't make sense. Like Adam, you won't live a day if you eat this apple. That didn't make sense. But then it did make sense later on in my research that a day for God is 1,000 years, and Adam didn't live. He lived it till 934 years. So he literally didn't, or live a day in God's timeline. So it made sense that way. And then I don't know if you want to share a screen, but I do have my
Sure.
research. A lot of my research is gone now. I think they used AI to just delete. And let's see here. I can send it to you. It looks like I can share screen. You've got
Yeah,
all
you
the
press present at the bottom. That's a little
yeah.
square with a plus sign in the
You've
bottom
got
middle.
okay. Let's see. But this is my findings. Well, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So I was compelled. I felt in the gut that I had to retranslate. So the first line, Rashith Elohim Bara Eth Shanaim Eth Eretz. So that's
That's the very first book in the
Genesis 1. Yeah.
Genesis 1 of the oldest scripture that you could find. Like that's in the original Hebrew, or
Yes. 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 Original Hebrew, because I just felt like because Google has like I all my research I checked with actual people who speak Hebrew just to confirm my findings, and then I put it on here, and um, I noticed it's getting erased from Google. So this is not something that people will be able to find in the future. So Rashith is translated as "in the beginning," the first three words in the Bible. But in the beginning in Hebrew, there is a word, it's Techila. It's not Rashith. So if it was Techila, then in the beginning would have been a correct translation, but it wasn't. So right away, first word, I knew this is a big issue here. You can't, because it's 3 times in the Bible it says not to add or take away anything. One word. And they did that in the first word. So right away in the beginning, I go, so I'm thinking, my God, I'm going to have to do this entire Bible. So moving on, Rashith translate as former state or before. So it really changes the construct of what they're saying. That we were here, but we were here. We existed. We lived. We were something. And we were changed to look like, our genetic modifiers. So we look like them, but what we look like before is why this first word was so important and transforming for me. So Elohim translated as a plural. Almost everybody agrees to that, but they don't go far enough. It means deity kind. The same as man is one man, but mankind is all men and all women and all children. It's all of us. And that's what Elohim is. It's females, goddesses, gods, and perhaps their children as well. So next word, bara, translates to shape, to fashion. So they didn't really mess with that one so much. Eth is just like the or and the. It doesn't really have an official translation. And then Shanaim, it translates, and this is fascinating. This really blew me away because it translates as firmament as it's translated, but it's also translated, and it means all these 3 things: steel vault, a dome, and a firmament. Those are the 3 things that come up from that word Shanaim. So I'm like, whoa, steel dome, firmament. And then Eretz is land. So what did I get from 1:1? Let's go right to my translation here. New King James, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The Talmud, when God began to create the heaven and the earth was unformed and void. My translation, before Elohim fashioned the firmament and the land was without form and in ruin, and darkness was upon the face of the abyss. Okay, I'm going to 2. Ruach of the Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. So we have a name here, but in the Bible, there's no name. They just say the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. This is Genesis 2. In the Talmud, it's over the face of the deep, and the wind from God sweeping over the water. So they're just calling it wind, and one's calling it spirit. But Ruach is the key. Because Ruach translates, let's see if I can find it here. Yes, it's a feminine noun, also known as the goddess of wisdom, the queen of heaven, Sophia, and the virgin goddess.
So right from the beginning, this was right at the beginning of original scriptures.
Yes.
They talked about goddess of wisdom, queen of heaven, Sophia, the virgin goddess. It spoke this at the very first line
Yes.
of original scriptures, but yet modern day translations has totally omitted women, Sophia, goddess, and they totally seem to invert and pervert it all.
They did. They really did. So, number 2, I'm not going to go through all this, but if you can see it, it's a lot of, but Elohim is in there again. So, and the land.
I can see it.
So anyone can pause this and read it later. And
Yeah, I don't mind reading it. Whatever. Waretz haita tohu wavohu wichozek al pnitzi tihom baruch Elohim arachafet al plune ma meim. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the original from the tablets. So whereas and the land become formless or lie waste. Vohu bohu. Emptiness, waste, void, darkness, obscurity. The next word, above the face or surface. And then tohum, abyss, the deep sea. So what this does is this tells me what was before all this happened, before the firmament. This tells us where we lived. We lived in the deep sea, in the abyss. So we were what's above the firmament, the water above and the water below. That was our world is in water. We're in water in our mother's wombs, and we were born into water. This is what we were before. And this is not really speculation. It's really going by what they're telling me, because they're setting the scene of their arrival, right? They're setting the scene. This is where we are. It's all ruins, but we're alive. Is the main thing. We lived in water. One of the elements, material forms, as in the Gita, is water. One of the forms of the Creator is water, which is life-giving. Most things can't live without it. So, I mean, it makes sense that God would be like the ultimate facilitator of life. So this was my biggest find was Ruach, to find that one word and to find out it's not a description. It's not, it is a female that they removed in Genesis 1-2 right away in the beginning. But 1-2 also tells us our environment when they got here. So they were also in water above us, so we could see them above us and hovering, and they created this firmament and this life that we are living right now. So I hope that helps everyone.
Yeah, totally. So here was already here. So it seems like scripture's not saying God created this place. So original scripture saying that there was an abyss, there was a wasteland, there was something here, and God breathed life into it.
Well, this is
or the woman breathed life into it.
well, that's the thing. This is where the Sumerian tablets make sense, because the person that was changing us in the Sumerian tablets was also a female. So it actually brought these two together for me. And it showed that, that they lied in the Bible, which is really sad for me. It's really no place for deception. People are, put their trust in it, and you're not supposed to mess around with it. And they have messed around with it a few times. But I thought that was very important, because what it did was it aligned all the other religions together for me. It brought it all together. It's like, okay, there's the lie. But I had to look everywhere to find a lie, right? And I also had to retranslate, which was my gut instinct was to, you know, to my gut instinct was this isn't true. You have to look deeper. The same way within the church. I didn't feel comfortable in the church. It just seemed too much like programming, mental programming. Stand up, sit down, kneel, sing, stand up, kneel, sit. It was just all like this, this unholy chanting, drinking blood, and it just felt so dark, even though they were trying not to be dark, but they were. And sure enough, my findings kind of show that it was dark. It was dark down in, the Council of Nicaea and Constantine, and and they adjusted, and most of the laws in Leviticus, Leviticus is a harsh book, but most of the laws are man-made. They're not from God or anything. It's just, and I would have to say the same about the Quran. I mean, it says to beat your wife gently, lightly. It says to beat her, but do it lightly. And it's in brackets, so it's not in there. They put it in there to make it look good, because it says beat her. I mean, really? Yeah, if your wife isn't...
doesn't sound like God to me, from God to me.
It's not. It's not. See, that's where man has inserted himself into it. And I see the patriarchy with the Bible, because it doesn't make any sense. But when two people have a child, that child learns from both parents, and each one has a unique thing to teach, a trade, mother and father. And I mean, the Bible says the women are not to teach. It's like, that is an absolutely outrageous, patronizing patriarchy statement. This is not a God thing, And I already found out they took a goddess out of the Bible. I think mankind would be pretty excited to know that there's a goddess in there. It's like, wow, a goddess, cool. This is great. This is uplifting. This is great information. But the church is so down on not letting women have any
significance.
Yeah. They just didn't want them in there. You don't have a say. Be quiet. Be silent in the church. And even the bishop that heckled or tried to LGBT Trump. What an embarrassment that was. But right away, she's not supposed to speak. And if she does, she's supposed to cover her head. She didn't. I mean, she should know these protocols. Being a bishop, the protocols probably, you don't go up in the priesthood without at least knowing the protocols, right?
Did you the story the plot thickened with her? Did you hear about more of what happened with her? That she's receiving like $15 million from USAID or whatever it is from these groups, and hence why she was probably doing what she was doing, and trying to protect her slush fund.
Yep. Isn't that interesting, huh? But she's also linked to the Red Pope, because the Red Pope is the same. Red Pope is pushing this agenda. And it's a sad thing to feel like your church has betrayed you. And I mean, we already know the government has betrayed us, but just allowing the stuff in the food that they've allowed, things that we would never dream of in a million years to put in our food. When someone prepares food for their family, they're going to cut the rotten part of the potato out, and you know what I mean. They're going to put wholesome ingredients because they want their families to live. They're not thinking, well, it would be a little cheaper if I used car oil as opposed to tallow oil. I might save a couple of bucks. So all these things just make no sense to me. But I think we're living in a time when the truth is just flooding into the masses, and it's wonderful to be a part of that. I think we're going to have a very interesting show on the 20th this week. You and I, and the Queen. I mean the angel. She's your queen. I have no doubt that she sees you as a king too, and you're pretty tall. I've seen you guys side by side, and I thought, yeah. She has to climb up the side of your arm just to get a kiss up there. She has to climb you.
I'm definitely not small.
Oh, well, I'm only 5'7", so I'm probably her height.
No, she's 5'3".
Oh, yeah. So, but I thought that would be a good thing to share today, because I think a lot of what we know, your listeners already know, because I see them very educated fan base. They know what's going on, and that's great. That's great. I love that. I get a lot of information from your comments on your videos. The people just listening. So you got a lot of really intelligent listeners too, which I have to give you kudos for that. So where can I go from here? Let me see. I haven't been watching the chat. Sorry, folks.
One thing that someone said here, Brian Jackson from our Facebook says they replaced the name Yahuwah with the name Lord throughout the Bible. That's one of the big changes, that they changed things to Lord.
Well, actually, they took multiple gods, the Sumerian gods, the sons of God in the Bible. So they have different, they're represented here and there, but they're just kind of like, over here, and they're in Job they're all like having tea and crumpets with Satan, and Job. It's like, what's going on here? I thought you guys didn't like each other, and you're all like sitting together and chit chatting. And but Job was an example of the gods playing games with mankind that aren't fair. I thought that it was cruel to destroy Job's farm and his entire life, his freaking kids. I mean, and it was all a game to them. It was like, because God says in Job, is there anyone that loves me more than Job? And he basically taunted the devil, and the church doesn't describe it that way, but he does. He taunts him. He goes, prove that he doesn't love me more than anything in the world, kind of thing. So it just seemed very immature and ungodlike to behave that way. There's so much more.
Does Lord mean Baal?
Baal is Baal is like Baal, Baal.
Yeah. Is that what Lord means?
I don't think so. I think that is a specific god, like Moloch. Moloch is like the Jerusalem god, where they sacrifice babies and put them in fire. By fire they burned them. Baal is in like ancient Middle Eastern communities, among the Canaanites, who considered him a fertility deity when it comes to Baal.
So here in Google says Baal was a title meaning lord or owner in ancient Northwest Semitic languages, later applied to the Canaanite Phoenician god of fertility, rain, and storms, often associated with the deity Hadad.
Mm-hmm. So if we look at the Sumerian tablets, I mean, these could be these entities. They live for over 400,000 years. That's their lifespan. So they did die. So they weren't God, but they were definitely not like us. They had very long lives. And our lives were changed. Before Noah, 1,000 years. After Noah, 120 years. And they're trying to shorten it even more, apparently. The Rothschilds, I think, is behind the whole thing. The church, the military, they like all of a sudden in Arab Palestine, everyone was dark skinned, black Jews, Arab Jews, they're all dark skinned, and all of a sudden they create Israel and they're all white European Jews. So, and they just take over. We live here now, but they're all European. They're not like the authentic Palestinian Jews, the Semitic
No,
people.
and if even the Semitic Jews have any disagreement with it, they target them, and they actually, the real Jews, they actually treat them horrifically for calling out the bullshit.
I think they need us to keep us in a negative, fear. They want us to remain in fear because it will stop our evolution, perhaps. And this evolution that we could have on the 21st, the golden age begins. The thing that could happen is um, we could just disappear just because of our frequency change. But it's not something that's going to happen in an hour or over 2 hours. It happens right away, instantly. That's why I want to be on the show with you. And if one of us disappears, we're all going to know that's what happened.
Something actually happened. Someone said here, where is this? Richard French. He says, I have watched Paul with
Sagove.
Selgove Pecht,
Yeah.
and you should have them both on together. And then he says, ask about Selgove. But then he also said that you should have him on the show on the 20th. Ask him to come on the 20th. I believe he
Well,
said something.
Well, thanks, Richard. Salgave is Canadian Army veteran, and he's also he's very highly intelligent. I think most of my guests and most of my friends are highly intelligent, but he is very highly intelligent on law and the use of the flag in the courtroom, and he's just helping people to arm themselves legally if they ever go in front of a courtroom. I don't know if he would be connected to our thing on the 20th. He may watch, but this is just not his field of thinking. It's not his thing.
And we've had him on the Missing Link Live too, as well.
Yeah, he's very smart. I love having him. I think I've had him 3 times now, like more than once. I've had him on, and he gives a lot of good information. What to look at. Make sure there's a flag in the courtroom, so they stand under the flag. So they it's a jurisdiction thing. It's also a patriotic thing, and otherwise the court doesn't fall under the rules of the flag. The that sort of thing.
What do you know about Mandela effect? So, Blue
Yeah,
Pac-Man 13 from our YouTube channel says not to mention the Mandela effects in the Bible, lion and lamb, and then said right here, I have a feeling Paul knows what animal lied down with the lamb.
the lion and the lamb, right?
Well, it's changed. So apparently what people remember is different than what it currently is being taught now, and it's actually even changed in the Bible. So this Mandela effect is that people remember things that now are not, in consciousness. So just think of, do you remember a guy named Sinbad?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that show? And he used to be that genie that was like going around. Well, apparently that never happened. All of our memories of it, everybody who does remember that show, it never happened. He talks openly about no, that this was never happened. So how do we remember it happening? I've saw the show myself, and how is it now that they're saying that that show never happened? Ed McMahon, giving out this publisher clearinghouse sweepstakes, $1 million checks, 250 grand. Apparently that never happened either. And then another part of this Mandela effect is Bible changes. There's a lot of things in the Bible which people remember, and now it's altered. Now it's different. Now it's different than what people remember. And apparently it's different now, whether it was the lion that laid with the lamb, and now it's the wolf that laid with the lamb in every Bible. It's no longer the lion.
Huh. Isaiah 11:6. I have a mark for Isaiah. Let's see here. Yep. I got right to it. Isaiah 11:6. Everybody that's following at home. Righteous. Oh, no. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The wolf.
But you remember lion.
And the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, the calf, and the young lion are fatling together. Wolf, yeah. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox.
But you don't remember that as wolf laid with the lamb. You remember lion laid with the lamb, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that would be a Mandela effect. Now, as far as the Mandela effect, I don't know how it happened. I don't know if someone messed with our timeline. If they would have to be able to do time traveling and all that sort of thing. But to me, that it is evidence of what's going on. And I do know that they believe in timelines, and we're looking at one right now. And we've got 4 days where we possibly might be restored as before Noah's flood, where we did live 1,000 years. And that's a potential. But one thing that's required is for mankind to unite. And that's the key, is living in a loving, forgiving spirit. We have to forgive those who do bad things to us. And we have to forgive ourselves. We have to love ourselves and try to keep as most positive as possible. When I pray, I include all mankind. I don't pray for myself. When I pray about myself, I only thank God for the breathing, the air, the water, the people I've met. I just pray in thanks, and that's all I do, really. I never ask for favors, because I believe if you're strong in faith, God will put you where you need to be, and you will do what you're intended to do. And it's an automatic thing. It just goes with faith. You just, like me being here, you being here. To me, that's just a faith thing. That's just God using us, as He sees fit, according to whatever's going to come in the end. I like to think positive about. I don't know if you've read. Did you read the Alice Bailey stuff? Now, Alice Bailey, she's the one that really targeted and showed the March 21st day 100 years ago. And I tend to have a little more faith in what's old. Like I would believe carving on stone before a book, a printed book. I just don't think they were lying when they were carving in stone. That's why I needed to go right to the Hebrew, because there's no way they would lie. I mean, why would you lie when it takes all that effort to get your message out there?
What about, the manifestation of the power that we've been instilled, created in God's image? We have the manifestation creation ability. So when someone comes out like an Alice Bailey and makes this prediction 100 years ago, it takes enough people to manifest that into reality. And if enough people reject it, then maybe it doesn't come to fruition the way it possibly could if people actually believed it and helped manifest it into existence.
Well, I think they did that with COVID. They manifested a fear campaign against all of us. So with Alice Bailey, it is a dark source, because I mean, she's from like Lucius Trust, or the publishers of her book. So automatically, by default, I'm just taking it with a grain of salt, and I have to just look deeper and see what she has to say. But she wrote multiple books, and they're all available online. You can find it easily. Alice Bailey's Prophecy about 2025. She says, if the destruction of mankind is to be averted, there's 3 things that we have to do. 1, recognition of the Christ spirit within, which I do. I believe God lives inside of us as light, as water. He's very participatory. He's very selfless. Like he just gives. And 2, recognition of the hierarchy. So recognition of the hierarchy would be to recognize that the devil is the God of this world, and our Creator gave him that position and can take that position from him at any point in time. That's the recognition of the hierarchy. Who's in charge? Well, the devil's in charge of this world, but we're not of this world. This world was created and we were imprisoned inside of it. So that's number 2. It's just recognition of the hierarchy. And number 3 that she gives us is a recognition of the divine plan. And that's just recognizing that we all have a purpose. We all have value. No matter, even the worst person in the world has value. They still have a light inside of them, a divine light. And that light is divine. No matter how bad the person is, they still have, God still gives them grace. He still gives them the opportunity to change or to fulfill their destiny, even if it is a bad thing. God is very mysterious. So I don't question God's intent, but I do respect the hierarchy. I mean, Jesus himself said, that Satan is the God of this world, and there you have it. That's that. There's, so stop fighting him. We don't need to fight the devil. We need to fight evil, not the devil. We have to respect that God put him there and gives him power over us. What that power is, what it looks like, who knows? All I know is I had to look at multiple religious books to get more information. Like the Bible tells us he's an angel, but the Quran does not. The Quran says he's not an angel, but another creation outside. The Quran says that angels are made of light, but the devils in Satan was made from smokeless fire. So as the God of this world, he could very well be the fire that didn't burn the bush. He could be the author of the Ten Commandments. This is what I want on my earth. Now, the Georgian tablets, on the other hand, are people of this world, the Rothschild Ten Commandments, where they're stating they don't want more than 500,000 people. That's it. The other thing that's I think is interesting, the fight between the Quran, the Christian, and the Muslim. The Quran says that Jesus was not crucified. So there's the big conflict right there. The Bible says he was. So someone's lying again. Either he was or he wasn't.
And then to the other part, the Jews say that he wasn't even, a Messiah, right? So,
Yeah.
the Jews think something totally different. They actually think that he's rotting in hell and shit, and they actually think something totally different about Jesus.
They don't think much of us either. Christians and Gentiles, they see us as slaves, but those are the European Jews that are in Israel. Those are the Zionists. They don't like anybody but themselves. They make war with everybody. They created Israel so they could have war with all the land around them. It's like, well, that was a bad idea, wasn't it? You could put someone in charge that gets along with others. You don't put the bad kid in class in charge of the class. And that's what happened. And we're kind of in a trap. We really can't get out. They cheat in the election, so it doesn't matter who you vote for, really. I mean, vote for who you believe in, but I don't think it even matters. I think they're all appointed, and they're playing the game with us. Another thing about the Bible and the Quran, the conflict is the Quran expands that Jesus could speak as a baby. I mean, that is like blows my mind. See, I've got the page right opened up right to the page. Like, wow. See, that's how God is so amazing. But he speaks as a baby, and they're all freaking out. They're all going, "Oh my God, what did you do?" Because she had a baby with a God, right? So this is the Quran's perspective of Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And they said, your mother wasn't a whore, your father wasn't a bad man. Why did you do this? And why are they scared? Well, because of Noah's flood. They knew mating with deities created the giants and hell on earth, and they were eating people and killing people, and they couldn't be sustained. They couldn't be fed. They had big appetites. So they decided to just reset, the great reset, Noah's flood. But that's why they were afraid when Mary brought the son of a deity. They were terrified that they're going to get another flood. It made perfect sense to me. So Jesus could speak, but he spoke as an intellectual, wise adult. Meanwhile, he was in a crib. So whether it's true or not, again, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you what's in there. I'm saving you time, saving you from having to read the whole book, and giving you what really changed, you know what I mean? Like really affected me. And that was a big deal for me that Jesus could speak. Just like finding Ruach, a goddess. My God, what a thing to find in the Bible, a goddess. I mean, we're surrounded by goddesses, especially you. Goddesses and angels. So, I mean, but that's good. I'm glad you have your own angel. Because we all have a guardian angel, and that angel doesn't speak to us, or we'd probably lose our mind and they'd lock us up. If our angel could speak to us, or if God spoke to us, we'd probably explode. But
well, I'm sure it happens to many, and people can't comprehend why or what. They go talk to somebody in the medical profession, and next thing you know, they're on some kind of drugs, or even worse, linked as schizophrenic and put into mental hospitals because they have communication with something, or something, or someone, or some kind of energy or angel, or who knows what actually communicating with them.
So what I think is going to happen on the 21st, the potential Because in the Bible, it says in Acts, let me see, I'll just put it in here. Acts 10:11. He saw the sky open. No, this is us reaching, raising up in frequency. So when we raise up, we're going to see things that are up already, right? And this explains Acts 10. He saw the sky open, and something like a large sheet was let down by its four corners. Four corners, folks. That's the shape of the plane we're in. In the sheet were all sorts of animals, reptiles, all 5G, and birds. Then a voice said to him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat them." "No, Lord," Peter declared, "I have not eaten anything that our Jewish laws have declared impure and unclean." So there you have the sheet. So the sheet isn't coming down from heaven. We're rising up towards it. That's the thing. That's what makes more sense to me now, because we're rising in frequency. We're moving up to another reality, basically. And the new heaven is actually where we're heading, the new earth. And people that are stuck in fear and hate will remain here. But to them, we're going to disappear. Like, we're going to be on a podcast in that moment, and one of us might leave,
Both of us.
or all three of us.
All three of us. Blue Pac-Man says, if we vibe to a higher frequency, then do the people on the lower frequencies experience our deaths in their given reality, or is it just like disappearing and they just have no idea where those people have gone?
Yeah, we will disappear. They won't see us, but they will become blurry to us. But like, the devil can walk through walls, and that's because of his frequency. He can't touch you. The devil can't like shake your hand or touch you because he's transparent. He would have to lower his frequency for us to see him. And generally, higher frequency beings don't enjoy coming to 3D. They don't like it. And I don't think you're going to like coming. You won't want to come back once you experience it yourself. But I do think we might disappear on camera. But I don't know, though. That's why I wanted to do this, because I'm in the right frame of mind to do it. I feel like I'm ready to do it, but I think we might still see each other. I don't know. Like, we're gonna remain visible to each other, but we're going to leave 3D. I don't know how that's going to happen, but that Acts 10 kind of explains how we're rising up, because let's say we're flying up. See, Jesus Christ is not coming back. He's coming through us. We are that crystallization. We're transforming back to our former state from what we were supposed to be before all these poisons and vaccines and all these things that have been done to us in our water and our air. And because we're becoming more powerful, they have to intensify the poison, because they don't want us to leave. They want to keep this prison planet, and I don't want to stay. I don't mind leaving, as long as there's like 5G or 5D pianos. I'll be happy. If there's no 5D pianos, I may come back.
Well, there's a good chance I ain't leaving, because I signed up to help the people here. So I'm interested in, being here through whatever transition and helping the way that I can. So good chance if you disappear, I won't be.
I understand your point of view, and that's basically your compassion. I just think we're in the back seat, and Thelma and Louise are driving. and you can see the cliff now. I mean, but this is potential. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is nothing. Then we could just write off Alice Bailey as another one of those Luciferians that planted a new 2012 panic button alert, like with the red planet, Planet X, and all that crap. Just so many games they've played with us over decades, and they all belong in prison. They really do, all of them in the Vatican. All those people, Constantine, all these people are criminals to me. You can't lie about the Creator, and we have a right to know why we're here. We have a right to know and be empowered on how to pray properly, empowered on the right foods to eat. If they did a genome on every baby, they could tell you, don't feed your kid strawberries because, according to his genome test, he's allergic to it and it will hurt him. So there's so many different things that they could resolve, by doing a genome on every child. Just for the doctor. Only the doctor needs to know that stuff. But yeah, the crystallization, the chrysalis, there's a way to say it. I'm not really sure exactly how to say it. But that's us. We're the ones that are, and you can't stop yourself from doing it. If you're ready, if you're in the right frame of mind, I think it's just going to happen. Now, if nothing happened, the worst thing is nothing is going to happen. But the best thing is we're never going to suffer again. We're never going to die again. There's not going to be any more tears. There's no more fear. Because anything that does happen on Earth, when we're in 5D, it won't hurt us. It won't affect us. Even if they use direct energy weapons on Earth, right where we are, it won't hurt us because we'll be in 5D and it just can't. It won't hurt us.
And no weapon formed by man shall prosper.
No weapon will prosper against us at that point. And death will be gone. Imagine that, eh? Never fearing death again. I like that. I like that idea. But also, those who have passed, like the children that passed from my children that passed from injections. I'm careful for YouTube, but I will be reunited with them. They will come back. I will see them. What a beautiful thing that'll be for me to be able to reunited with my family, the my grandma, grandpa that I love very much, and all these sorts of good possible potential outcomes that we could be looking at. 5D lions and lambs. Yeah, exactly. There'll be no fear of animals because getting our brain back and our pineal back, we will have an appropriate relationship with animals. They will be able to communicate with us back and forth. I don't know if we'll speak dog, but that would be awesome. I would love to speak dog. And cat. I would like, I want to hear a cat say, "Get out of my space."
Back off, buddy.
But either you got a snack or you can flock to the birds.
Yeah, I hear cats saying that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome if we could hear what animals are thinking? We might think, "Holy shit, dude, I thought you were my buddy." Where's the food, Mac?
Well, I heard that if you are in a house alone and you pass on, your body stays here, and you pass on in a house with an animal, a dog or a cat, within 24 hours, the cat that you've had all its life, fed it, took care of it,
Will
cuddled
eat you.
it,
They'll
will
eat you.
start to eat you
Yeah.
within 24 hours.
Yeah. Love goes right out the window.
Dogs a little longer it takes, but for some reasons, golden retrievers, they say, won't eat.
Wow.
Probably they said maybe after a month or who knows, but something about a golden retriever is that they won't actually eat their owner unless probably it's must necessity or whatever. But a cat within 24 hours knows that your soul is not in that body and it's just flesh and it's meat, and it's just going to eat the person. So this apparently is some studies that have been done. I don't have any real proof from just hearing it, so I don't know for sure, but this is apparently what happens when you pass on alone with one of your animals.
Yep. And one of our listeners are probably Googling that animal right now. I want an animal that's not going to eat me. Yeah, well, see, we're helping different ways. It's just that's the way it works. So
But in
that's
most but in most many cases, people don't, pass on alone with their animal. There's kind of, there's kind of um you know when you're going to pass on, when you start getting sick, you put the animal somewhere. I don't think it happens very often, but I think this would be more for a sudden death, and who knows how much that's happened with all the sudden deaths that have happened in this last 4 years since people
right.
started injecting themselves.
Yep. Yep. Now back to Alice. Alice, some of the stuff she wrote was a little bit scary. Like the coming avatar is basically a multi-dimensional entity that destroys, the Vatican, with the seven hills. It's the biblical. That's where they align with themselves. It destroys the place with the seven hills.
Was she against the Vatican then?
No, no, I'm just saying that what she wrote aligns with the Bible. It's just that it gives a whole different perspective. Like they don't say an avatar. The Bible will say Jesus coming down from the heavens, but then other research shows that it's us that we crystallize, our DNA is repaired, and we end up with our original 12 strands or something, and we can self-heal and never die kind of thing. So what a dream come true. Perhaps we'll be able to fly. I mean, that would be an ultimate dream come true, to be able to fly.
Well, some people think that when this takes place, that the people that get uplifted, come back here with super suits, 10 feet tall, crushing, speaking the word, crushing evil. And like, apparently there's lots of different interpretations of it, but the craziest one is, Jesus is coming here to murder everybody that's evil, and like taking something that's so loving and twisting it into complete, like, like a psychopathic murderer. And instead of, bringing them back to the light, like you would think, like, someone and of that power would be able to do, it's about killing them and eliminating them and coming with a sword with a thirst for blood. And that
Right.
seems different than what I would interpret, a creator source.
Well, the 2012 last non-event, was the Mayan calendar, right? Mayan calendar ending.
Mm-hmm.
And Alice Bailey is the end of the Yugi calendar, which is even longer. But she said the three recognitions must be evidenced by humanity before March 21st, 2025. So it's very specific here. If the destruction of mankind is to be averted, and she also says the destruction mentioned here could mean something like the great flood of the last days of Atlantis. Although Bailey points out some prophecies say that destruction by fire is also a possibility. If humanity fails to unite under the banner of the forces of light against the forces of material aggression and selfishness, then the fiery ordeal might be unavoidable. That's what she had to say. And
Could that fiery ordeal be the meteor? There's apparently, scriptures talk about a meteor that's supposed to come and destroy many things here. And if it actually hits the earth and potentially block out the sun with all of the, stuff up into the sky, that, it could be fire, could be cold, could be, freezing. But these are stuff that I don't really want to manifest into existence.
no, but it's in 2 Peter, Mark 9, 2 Peter's The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. So yeah, and it's more multiple times that it's in there about fire coming down. But we also have the technology to create that with our direct energy weapons. They could fake the end. The end could have already happened a long, 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 long time ago, and they just can play it out, like a theatrically. So I mean, it's all quite possible, and it's better to keep your mind open like an umbrella. They work best that way. Just not to dump all the eggs into one basket. I mean, if you hear something, look into it, dig a little deeper. Blind faith is the last thing you should trust right now. Your gut is a good thing to trust, because to me, your gut is our guardian angel advising us. Even though growing up we don't usually follow that advice, your gut will say, you've had 4 drinks, you probably shouldn't be driving. But then the drinks and your mind and your heart will say, I'm big and strong and I can do it. So your heart and your mind will betray you, but your gut will never. So trust, that is your connection to source, is through the gut, because your guardian angel works with source for you, assigned to you, and not here to change what you are, but they will try to tell you what you, and that's how they do it. They try to tell you the right path through your gut. So trust your gut. It will never lie to you.
I've
The
got
energy.
a good Alice Bailey page on information, which I've just put into the comments there for everybody who wants to learn a
Mhm.
little bit more about this Alice Bailey prophecy about 2025 and its links to the Kala Chakra Tantra.
Yes. Yes, sir.
25,800 Yuga cycle. Isn't 26,000 what they say is the cycle of Nibiru as well? Isn't that supposed to be 26,000 years? Every
3,600.
26. Oh, it's 3,600?
I think so. But yeah. So, like the Mayan calendar, I took that with a grain of salt too. And the 2000, panic that the internet was going to explode or something. And wouldn't know how to read 2001. But we've had a lot of manipulation, and the beauty of the lifting of the veil is all mankind, everyone, whether they're religious or not, are all going to get fed. They're all getting downloads. And that is the apocalypse. The apocalypse is a wonderful thing, because that's when everything is revealed to all of us at the same time. So there's no question at that point of what's what. And I look forward to it. I want to know what we look like before we were made in their image. See, they were not God. They were higher beings from a higher existence, and they used us. They trapped us in this firmament. But imagine they have the technology to go deep underwater, like the abyss. It showed us a sample of that in the movie, where he had to breathe liquid in order to go deep enough. So this technology, I would say, exists from the Anunnaki or whoever came here, and I think they can come and go through the ocean. It's just we can't go because we will explode. We can't go that deep because we're made to be trapped in here. We would have to actually go in one of their ships to be able to escape the trap. The firmament, the dome is unpenetrable. You can't break through. I don't know what the heck it's made out of, but they've tried exploding nuclear bombs up there and nothing happened, but they made a mess. They made our air pretty bad with all that nuclear radiation. But I think they go in the ocean, and there's a tunnel thing where they can get out and perhaps go to, and then they're in the abyss. It's like we're in a rock formation or something, and with a dome, and they can come and go as they please. But they use the ocean to do it in order to go through the tunnel vision or tunnel into their own. Perhaps they have their own. So what's out there is what fascinates me. Is what's beyond, because I can speculate all day about. I just imagine going into the ocean, and you go so deep that it's pitch black, and then you see this half dome lit up with the sun and the moon going in circles, and you get closer and you realize it's Earth underneath there. So that's kind of our place. We're in water, but we're encapsulated, and we were turned into air breathers. And this is just going on all the information that they tell us but don't tell us, like when they say they were in the abyss, hovering over the water, hovering over us. They tell me a lot that's not written in there. They're telling me where they are, the situation, where, that we're water drinkers. I mean, that's never stated in the Bible, but you can assume it, because you just have to look at the situation that was created, the environment that was created, and all your answers can be found just by going outside of the box and looking at it, what they just gave to you. Hello, Kathleen. You must worship in spirit and in truth. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. 100%. Talked about the time when God kingdom rules the earth, resulting in God wiping out over. Yeah, and death will be no more. Yeah, she knows. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. See, I knew your audience will probably learn very little from me, because they all have like a volumes of knowledge amongst them. So it's
Well,
it's awesome.
different people have different knowledge, and so your knowledge here is great, right? Because not everybody has what you're throwing down, but some people will have different
Mhm.
parts, and I think we're all missing links of the puzzle, and hence, why we're all coming together at this time.
Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that, because I remember when I first watched your show and you asked me to come on. I thought I'm really not that smart. I mean, I don't look at myself as smart. I don't think I'm smarter than anybody. I just dug my head into something, and I read all their books because I just wanted to know. It was nothing. It was nothing. It wasn't for a scholarship or a reward badge or anything. It was just out of the love of wanting to know more, wanting to know everything I can get my hands on about God, and because I think the Gita really made it all the most beautiful, and that's why I say Angeline kind of reminds me of the Gita, because she kind of has that spiritual healing. She really, to me, speaks like in the Buddhism. But the Buddhism is the only religious book that gives me the exact material forms of the Creator. None of them do that except the Gita. They all just talk about the Creator as, all knowing, omnipresent, and they're correct. Omnipresent. Water is everywhere, right? Water fulfills that omnipresence. It really does. And
What is the firmament then? So Patrick from our Facebook, who's been on the missing link numerous times,
yes.
says firmament is a dividing of the waters within the waters. So what do you think the firmament is?
So they came here, they looked at us, they probably looked at the minerals in the ground. They decided, okay, we're going to use this, and they saw life, And they said, all right, well, we can't use them like this. We're going to have to give them, we're going to have to make some adjustments. And they did. The firmament is like a dome. You know those little Santa Claus things, and you shake them and you get
Snow globes.
snow globes. It's like that. Basically, we're on a plane. It's very large and it's got four corners. And it's it's trapped. Like we're in, like, imagine us being in within the ground of the ocean floor. We're not movable. We're not going anywhere, kind of thing. And they just modified us so we'd be air breathers. They created this environment, this prison, basically. I love the Sumerian tablets because it talks about mistakes they made, and that right away made it the most believable of all the books. As soon as they're admitting their mistakes, I'm going, okay, I believe you now. That was showed imperfection. Plus, they refer to God. They refer to the prime creator. They admit that they are like gods because they live 400,000 years. So they have a long lifespan. And, but they did control our lifespan. As far as the firmament, what it's made of, I have no clue, but it's their technology. And if they live 400,000 years, I imagine they don't explode in their ships when they go into the ocean, and they, there are windows. They can open windows in the globe, which is how the water went above the highest mountain. If you notice in the Bible, Noah's flood, the water went above every mountain. It was flat. There was no mountains. That's not possible on a round ball Earth. It's not possible, but it is possible if you have windows and you let the water in, and the dome fills up with water. And that's how the water went above the highest mountain. So it all makes sense to me. It all works together for me. And people have a right to be pissed off, because this is important information. This information belongs to us. No one has a right to change and alter that information. I don't care if they have a church or in robes. They lose my respect if they lie to their people, lie to the congregation, and don't enhance and better, enhance their lives with the truth. Then it's a shame. It's a very sad thing. The Sumerian.
Go ahead.
No, I was just reading Brian, but what were you going to say?
Oh, his comment before says, the voyage of Sinbad reminds me of the extra lands. And I just we kind of got back to Sinbad, and someone mentioned in the comments, oh, well, I can still search up Sinbad and he's there. Sinbad is a guy, but he played in a movie called Shazam. And so let's just listen to this quick clip about it.
Let's jingle all the way. As with many old-school internet legends, the exact origin of the misremembered Shazam movie is impossible to definitively track down. The mythical film first came to mainstream attention in 2009, when an anonymous user posted this query to Yahoo Answers. Do you remember that Sinbad movie? Wasn't there a movie in the early 90s where Sinbad the entertainer/comedian played a genie? I know Kazam had Shaq in it, and that's not the one I'm thinking about. Help! It's driving me nuts. No one in that initial Yahoo Answers thread claimed to remember the movie, and the topic quickly dropped off the front page. 2 years later, a Redditor brought the question back, claiming to have been the victim of a conspiracy to suppress knowledge about Shazam. But again, the idea was met with silence or derision, as no one else claimed to remember the film. The world at large seemed to agree. Sinbad was never in a film about a genie, and these few random people were just misremembering something else. Jump ahead to 2015, when now defunct internet news outlet Vice ran a story about the so-called Mandela effect, describing a phenomenon in which a large group of people all claim to share the same false memory. The term was coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broom, who said she had vivid and clear memories of South African anti-apartheid activist and leader Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. Of course, that's not what happened. Mandela served 27 years in prison, but was released in 1990 by then South African President F.W. de Klerk. Just 4 years later, Mandela was elected leader of a new coalition government. He passed away decades later, in December 2013, at age 95. During the course of her research, Broom spoke with hundreds of other people who claimed to share her memory of Mandela dying in prison. She speculated that the phenomenon could be evidence of parallel realities. Perhaps Broom and the others who recalled Mandela's death were from an alternate universe that had somehow bled into our own, explaining why they can recall events that did not take place in our world.
Yeah, I haven't really been drawn to the Mandela effect, but you mentioned Sinbad, and you made me think about. Remember, I Dream of Jeannie, the witch,
Yeah.
and Aladdin,
Bewitched. Yeah.
and Aladdin with the genie in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I Dream of Jeannie. Well, the genie is what the Quran describes the devil as being. And that's confirmed in the Bible when it says, the devil appears as an angel of light, so he can change his appearance. Now, that is why people are saying they see reptilians, aliens, greens. These are all jinns that can change their form. They can look like a human. They can look like an angel. They can look like a reptilian. They can look like an alien. It's all about creating fear base and feeding off the loosh. That's all it is. They want us scared.
What about the ones that are contacting, that are learning from this jinn and bringing technologies, and it's not about fear, it's about these jinns helping humanity or these aliens helping humanity. There's no fear in their interaction. They believe it's an actual entity from some other dimension, some other realm, some other place, and they're actually having good conversations that aren't fear-based. So what do you make of that?
Well, the God of this world is a jinn. Now, you remember when Moses, when he wanted God to show himself, and he says, "Close your eyes, because I would scare you in my form." But if you look at Aladdin, how big he is when he comes out of a small bottle. So I think that it will help the world a lot when they realize all the truth, when they get their download, because the creator is going to give us a download. And as we're rising up, and the whole world will know the truth finally. But I can give you little bits and pieces, and I will tell you what your priest won't tell you. I will tell you what your doctor won't tell you, and and I'm not that smart. I'm not that ambitious. It's just the truth. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that the God of this world is beautiful, and God adorned him with jewels, and he was perfect. And he's quite aware of that, but he's also a jinn, made of smokeless fire that can change his form, but he can't touch you. He can walk through walls and scare the hell out of you and appear as something. So he has that potential, but I don't think he wants to waste his time on that sort of thing. I think the people that are really mean and really bad on this earth are actual humans, not demons. I think the demons have a different level of existence that they don't give a darn about us. They really don't. They have their own thing to do. They're living on a different plane and a different frequency, and our lives mean nothing to them, and their lives mean nothing to us. We don't have their war. I mean, they have wars up there. We don't have those wars. We have our own problems, and they're not fifth dimensional or sixth dimensional, and you can go up to 12th dimensional. And that's when you're with source. So we're going to go up and up and up and up. And right now, we could go up in a few days. I mean, how exciting is that? To be able to heal yourself. I mean, I could smoke for 100,000 years. I could have a cigarette every day for 100,000 years. Yeah, the total amount of, I mean, there's so many different books, folks. And, I know that once you get a little taste of this kind of information download, it's like alcohol, like you want more and you want more. And it's very addictive because, and it's sad at the same time because you realize that you've been lied to. Nobody wants to face that. It's not a nice feeling, especially by a church. Like, how could they do that? What would they benefit by keeping this information from us? But I think
what
just
would motivate them is the big one.
they don't translate like I did. They just say, okay, you want to be a priest? This is the book. Read it and teach on this book. That's it. Don't sway from this book. If you read this book, you're a heretic. And they all do that. They all do it. Like the Quran, I think I already said this, but it says, and I've got it marked, and I make these, by the way. I sell them for $100 million. Made with my loving hands. I'm only saying 100 million because I am saving up for a bunker. And if you see my Lamborghini Minacci Stragago, did you see that?
Yeah, you posted that. I would drive one of those.
So they're tampering with these books. When a Bible has brackets, a word in brackets, that means we're making this up. That's what it means. It means it's not in there, so we're just gonna guess. No guessing. We want, the world deserves literal translation, like I just did there. I showed you a little bit, but that's what we deserve. And every copy should have that. No words added, no words taken away. The whole truth, nothing but the truth. If you're gonna swear on a Bible, it should have the truth in it. And I knew I was gonna have problems because I was going to church. My father became a minister, and he blamed me for it. He said my faith made him so strong in faith that he became a priest, or not a priest, but a bishop, not a bishop, Baptist minister. There it is. And then he became a missionary. But that's the nicest thing anyone ever said, that his faith grew because of my faith. And there's excitement in the truth. There's no lying. There's, when you're lying, like Justin Trudeau, when he's lying, he's able to look at you and lie, look right in your eyes, right in your face, and lie right to your face without any guilt, with no soul. And that's, I don't understand that.
That's sociopath, right?
Yeah, it's not like us. We're not like that. I mean, but yeah, it's hard with people like that. Are the ones that want to be political. They want to be in charge. They want to run the world. The worst people are people. It's not the devil. The devil isn't ruining our lives. And the church may want you to blame the devil, but it's not the devil's fault. We could be bad people too. We could have chosen to be bad, and perhaps some of us did, and some of us didn't. But we can make life hell for people, or we can make it heaven for people. And the spirit world has nothing to do with it. They've got their own thing going on, and hopefully, after the 21st, I'll know more about that realm, and that excites me. I would love to know more. I want to know everything. I want to know everything about the Creator And about the entities the Sumerian tablets talk about, these sons of God. I want to know about them and their world. I want to know everything, because I don't think God stopped at just the jinns and the angels and the Anunnaki and us. I think there could be many more different creations out there that are just as fantastic and interesting. We know there's a lot of different species of animals here, you know, from the fish, the birds, and there's all different colors and, flavors. But another big truth bomb here is, to me, there are four races. So the Anunnaki, the Sumerian tablets, consisted of four types. Now, either we were the four types: Caucasian, Negroid, Mongoloid, and native. So either we, when they came here, there was four kinds of us, whatever that we would be called. Let's just say mankind anyway. But there was four kinds of races, four different races. So either it was us or the Anunnaki had four races and had four. Basically, they all divided up the world, and Africa was basically where the power was. In the Sumerian tablets, it was the black people in Africa that were Enlil and Enki. They were in charge of, they were above everybody else. So they had authority over everyone, the other races, which would be us, the native Indians. So that's what I conclude from that. I think that's an interesting little tidbit of information that most people don't think about, the four races.
What about Lucifer? Apparently, that was twisted or perverted as well, because wasn't
It was.
Lucifer the light bearer? Wasn't even Jesus called the morning star?
Yep.
And so the morning star is Lucifer.
Yep.
And so how is Jesus and Lucifer called the same thing if people think Jesus is God, but then Lucifer they say is the devil? Like, it does that to me. It doesn't. Something's not adding up there.
Yeah, the church will tell you Lucifer is an angel, a fallen angel, maybe. According to the Isaiah, where it says, oh Lucifer, how you have fallen, morning star. And then the last page of the Bible, Revelation 22, verse 22, I think, maybe 26, where he says, I am, from from David, from the blood of David, or whatever, the family of David, and I am the morning star, the bright morning star. So yeah, and he is, and you are, and I am. So the problem is that they're taking an adjective. Lucifer is an adjective. It's like Canadian. If I say there's a Canadian, you'll say, well, which one? I see two Canadians here on the missing link. And that's what Lucifer is. It's just a description. It's not man, woman. It's not specific. It's light bearer. So an example of a light bearer, us, one that you can see, the firefly. You can see the firefly. So there's a good example of a light bearer. And Isaiah really speaks to like the life of the firefly, because we don't know what the firefly thinks. It may have euphoric, I can fly, I'm so amazing. We don't know what animals think, so we can't delve into the mind of an animal, but God can. So it could very well be that arrogance of an animal that thinks it's the greatest. But yeah, Jesus is just identifying himself as a light bearer because he has a light inside of him. When he was on the earth, he was endowed with the word. So he God empowered him, but they're separated now. He sits at the right hand of the Father. He is not God. He is a part of God, just like you and I. We're all connected to God. That connection happens through the light inside of us, and the pineal gland is basically our thing, our connection, our radar. But angels are also light bearers. So you can say all angels are Lucifers. You can say God is a Lucifer because God is made of light. So, I mean, it's not specific enough. That verse isn't telling you who they're talking about. And the church just assumed it was about an angel Lucifer, but there's no Lucifer in the Bible. There's nowhere it says Lucifer is an angel ever. Lucifer is said one time in the Bible and once only in Isaiah, and that's it. There's no reference to Lucifer again. So, except for Jesus saying, "I'm the morning star." So yeah, he is. I would agree with that, but it's not that simple. It's much more complicated. Like I said, you are also a Lucifer, unless you got that thing, because that thing had the light of a firefly in it. And if you know what thing I mean, they call it Luciferase. And Luciferase translated means the light of a light bearer. So Luciferase was added to the thing, and when that enters the body, the light that's there will not share space with another light. It's that light, our light inside of us has dominion. It rules us. It's our connection to God, but it's us. It's downloading all our knowledge and information, and it's part of us. Just like if I were to give a lung surgically to someone, who I am would transfer to that person through my lung. It's in my DNA. It's in my core, including in my light. So what I could it would probably take a while for me to find it, but I think I could just say, without having to do that God assigns a light to each of us. And that light is a jealous light. And you put another light in that body, it fulfills the gospel where it says, the smoke of the fire ascends forever and ever. That's because the light goes out like a candle and there's smoke, and it rises up forever and ever. They found a way to steal the soul, and it makes sense since I think we're in like the end days. We have the little horn already, Daniel 8. The little horn is here. So what's a little horn? Trumpet? Trumpet's a little horn? I think so.
Do we have a trump?
We do have a trumpet. The 7 trumpets. Yeah, I can't wait till our next show, actually. Can we just keep going till the next show?
No, I got some other shows we got to do before then, but awesome thought. What about angels? Some people say that angels actually meant people here are referred to as angels, like heavenly messengers, that they're trying to think that angels are up in the sky, but when they talked about it in old scriptures, angels would actually be someone that was actually physically here.
Well, angels are completely subservient to God. They just do God's will. They don't question God. And the devil was a different creation made from fire, and he was able to say, "No, I'm not bowing to mankind." But the Quran is the only one that really gets a little more in depth about the devil, which I loved it. I loved it. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. I want to know as much as I can about everything, But
I didn't like reading the Quran. As I was reading it, it just kept saying that if you don't follow this, you're going to burn in hellfire. If you don't do this, you're going to burn in hellfire. If these that happen, you're going to burn in hellfire. And I'm like, what the
it's
fuck
true.
am I reading?
It is fear based. So I had,
I'm like, I didn't like that at all. So I couldn't continue on. Like,
you have
I had
to
a
read it with a
friend
grain of
in
salt.
college, and he was taking me inside of the stairwells, and we were doing the prayers, and he gave me my Quran. And so I'm like, in college, and then I couldn't read it anymore. I was just like, what is this that I'm reading? This is totally counter to everything I am. And it's just like, it's something that I just couldn't continue on reading.
It seemed like yeah, and to me, it seemed like fighting with the Bible. It was constantly saying, you know, that we're not like, well, they're basically correcting the Bible all the time, a lot. That's what I found with the Quran. I didn't like the beating the women and then putting in brackets lightly, you know, as if that makes a big difference if you're gonna put in brackets lightly. But yeah, there's so much information. The Quran is, but the Bible's pretty harsh too. The Old Testament, the Old Testament is brutal. It really is. Leviticus, Deuteronomy is brutal. But to me, I knew I had to read the whole thing. I need to the Quran. I mean, they both the churches I've heard imams misquoting the Quran and radicalizing their listeners. And so I know there's problems in all the churches. It's not just the Catholic Church. It's in the Quran too. And the Quran was definitely, I mean, Muhammad couldn't even spell. He couldn't write. So he didn't write it. And that's a problem too. But I did find a lot of interesting things that I did take from it that I wasn't getting anywhere else. A little more expanding on Jesus, a little more expanding on the Bible. But it's like they're liars. It's mostly pointing, the church is a liar. Jesus wasn't crucified. Judas was. So it's a lot of told you so and you're a liar, pants on fire. So it was almost like watching Parliament, where they ask a question and they don't answer the question, and they accuse each other and they deflect, and they just like kids that all belong in the principal's office, not fit to govern over us whatsoever. When someone asks a question in the Parliament, I expect an answer, with receipts. I don't want games. It's not a place to play games, since they've been destroying our lives, our freedom, and endangering us basically. And there's no time for games, and they're all unfit. All 338 voted to let children destroy their bodies, chemically castrate themselves forever as children without parental consent. So there isn't one of them in there. All 338 voted for that. That means they all are unfit to govern. None of them represent us. None of them.
100%. Did you ever hear, I don't know, maybe it was about 3 years ago, inside a Canadian Parliament, where there were questions being asked from some of the constituents, and one of the question was, how is that that Klaus Schwab talked about some of the cabinet ministers being part of the World Economic Forum, and he said he had people or whatever, and all of a sudden there's like commotion inside of the House of Commons, and there was like, oh, I think we're having technical difficulties. Sound is going out. And they totally, like, when that came up in the House of Commons, I'm not sure if you ever seen that part, but it was the most craziest thing, that they actually wouldn't even answer the question, and they made it like they lied that they were having some kind of sound technical difficulties to be able to to subvert, that being answered, on record inside of the House of Commons. Did you ever hear that?
No, that's crazy. I do know that Chloe is here. Hi, Chloe. Oh, did I say Chloe? Cleo. I'm sorry, Cleo. She shall never speak to me again. Nice of you to join us. She's watched a lot of my shows, supporter of the PPC as well. And I thought she was actually running herself. So I was almost on 2 hours, brother. And they just flew by the way. And this
Yeah.
happens every time I talk to you. The
Yeah,
time just like stops.
fun to hang out with.
Yeah, because we're really talking about things that matter to us, and there's nothing more exciting really than to share as much information as possible. There's Cleo. Cleo likes her money. So yeah, I do music on the side. Um, I haven't been writing, but I do want to do that. I expect to get back into music in 5D because we're talking about 4 days right now. I mean, 3 days. I mean, of course, nothing may happen, and I don't want anyone to be worried, or I don't want to spread fear. If anything, the best thing you could do is be positive. Um, if you have to leave town and go to a cottage, find a happy place and just love the world, because in love you're in the right space that you need to be. And and even if you could just find people that you do love on the 20th, and just have a time together, and just be thankful for the good things that you have, and like for me it's the piano. I can go and play the piano at midnight, the strike of midnight, and I disappear, my suit will drop. And that's very exciting to me. That would be what the church would call the rapture, which actually just us actually just rising in frequency and not being visible anymore to negative energy. So that could happen because we just have to be positive, though. No, we can't be negative on the 20th. We have to be uppity, up. And the angel will help with that too.
I was pretty disappointed in the church with this 2020 closing down churches, then telling their people to go get injected. And, that was pretty crazy that, there was very few churches that actually stood up to this evil tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's a sad state when they're bringing their own Congress people and leading them off a cliff, leading them to the Luciferays, leading them to, to this evil. And that's a really dark time when you know that the churches are actively, bringing darkness into people's lives.
Yeah, the church has betrayed us. And one thing that I could say to help my fellow man is don't pray to idols. Don't do the rosary. Don't pray to Mary, Joseph, Jesus. If you're going to talk or pray about Jesus, just pray about his parables. Spread the point of his parables. Spread the teaching. That's what he was here for. He was there. That was his whole purpose, was the word to and he had to do it in parables because of the church was so bad then. He was turning the tables over. I mean, they were bad, and they're still bad today. But he empowered us with his word. But he told us Matthew 17:20. Let me see if I can. Matthew, I think it's 17:20. I don't even know how I remember these verses, to be honest with you. 17:20. Nope. It's not. Did we not? Yeah.
Joanne from our Facebook says, my mom warned me when I talked of Mary.
Oh, it's 7, it's 7, not 17. He said, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then Jesus said to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. So there you go. All the churches are saying, in Jesus' name, I cast you out, the demons. Jesus said right up front, don't do that. But all the churches ignore what he said. So don't pray to Jesus. Pray, say what he said. It was about what he said. It's not about him. There's no judgment day if he died for your sins. Nobody's going to die for your sins. He didn't die for sins. So I hate how they've just set people up to fail. They really have. So when I pray, I say creator. You can say source, because they're very accurate. It's supposedly it's forbidden to say the name of the creator. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to use his name. So you have to be as specific as possible. You have to, and that includes Muslims. Don't pray to Muhammad. Stop saying Muhammad every time you say something about Allah. Pray to God alone. Leave Muhammad out of it. If you're going to talk about Muhammad, repeat what his teaching. That's it. That's what you should do. Never put anyone before God. It's the first commandment, for God's sakes. Have no one before me. It's simple as that. I mean, it's all right there, and the church just overlooks it. But I'm not going to overlook it, because I actually care about my fellow man, and I'm not going to let it slip. If I can, as long as I have a mouth to breathe, I want God to bless my tongue so it speaks words that will help the right people at the right time. And, I think you're doing exactly the same thing. I think we're the same. We're on parallel courses, and I'm so blessed that we got to meet, because we're so aligned in search for the truth and sharing the truth. And I'm glad you have the exposure and the amount of people, because they can spread the information as well. And you have brilliant guests on your show that I've learned from. So, I mean, it's wonderful.
So I have a story that happened to me that I wanted to share.
Sure.
Now, a friend of mine linked me up with this backyard mechanic, and he was this dark-skinned guy. I think his name was QJ or something. And he would do my oil changes and fix my car in his little, garage that he had going on. And I went to him 2 or 3 times, and every time I went there, he was, very Muslim, and he was talking about Islam, and he was talking about, I don't know, he was trying to convert me or whatever it was, but he was really deep into his, talking about it, very, very loved his religion, loved speaking about it, and was constantly always, I don't know, I wouldn't say pushing it on me, but constantly trying to make me aware of his faith and his belief. I go for an oil change to his place for the last time. And my next day, my buddy, who he linked me up with him, says, "Did you hear what happened to QJ? Did you hear what happened to QJ?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Yesterday, his garage blew up and he died. I was in the garage. He was talking to me about the Quran and about his faith, and he was going really, really hard
Oh my God.
about that to me. I leave, and I don't know how long, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. It could have been minutes after I left. The thing blows up and he dies.
Well,
And,
now he knows the truth, doesn't he?
so I
He doesn't
was like,
have to read
I
anymore.
was like, wow, and I'm like, well, at least
That's
he went
great.
out talking about what he believed in and his faith, and that's, I don't know if it had any correlation to him igniting, but
Crazy.
I was within seconds of me being gone at the same time, but for some reason, I was spared, and when did this happen? This was about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
Wow, that's insane. Good story though, but I mean, I'm not laughing at the guy because I don't think we die, so I don't think he's dead. I think he's free.
Yeah, passed on, but his body was like, apparently
Wow.
he found the fire. He found that hellfire that the Quran talks about. So he literally his body literally found it.
I wonder if he got 7 virgins or whatever it is, 11 virgins.
72, I think it is, or
72 virgins. It's like Solomon, King Solomon. Holy smokes. He had like 700 concubines. Why? I think he had like 900 wives, 700 concubines. I can't even keep count. He had so many wives and concubines. It's like, when did he have time to do anything? I mean, that's a lot of, shenanigans. But Solomon was an interesting story because he controlled jinns like the devil. He was able to get them to do things for him. Plus, he was gifted with wisdom. That's one thing I prayed for, is wisdom and discernment. But I didn't like the discernment because when I prayed, and I asked for it when I was baptized, and I think that's kind of the trick, because there are gifts that you can ask for, but you have to be pure. So I asked for them as soon as I was baptized, like when I was coming out of the water, so I can't sin. I'm pretty clean at that very second. So that's when I asked, and I think I got it because I was sensing this like dark spirits, and I didn't like it. So I over the years I shut that down. I did not want to know. It's like, you guys are in a different realm than me. Do your thing, do what you do. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know about you. You're not a part of this. I'm a part of the physical 3D, and you're somewhere else. Just do what you do, and I'll do what I do. That's, I just separated from that. I did not like that, being able to sense them, because they were everywhere. It was like, oh, forget this. I don't want to know. I don't want to know this. Thank you, Lord. But can you put that one back?
I don't see any.
No, I didn't see them.
I don't feel any darkness. I don't know if they're
Good.
not allowed around me. I've never had any demonic experience. I've never had, demons coming at me. I've never experienced that. The worst for me is sometimes in dreams when I'm being chased and I'm fighting a whole bunch of gangsters, and I don't know, some of the crazy stuff that happened earlier on in my life. But sometimes I'll have dreams about me, where I'm constantly fighting, I'm constantly standing up, I'm constantly being chased. So, those dreams I have had, on occasion, very rare nowadays, but I don't see any of these dark entities here when people say they've had these demonic experiences and the demons are real, and I don't know what that means. I've never experienced anything like that myself.
Joanna said something cute. I hope there's chocolate truffles in heaven. Perhaps there will be 5D chocolate truffles. Oh, that's great. I was not expecting that comment. That was great. That's just what I needed. I do expect great things to happen. And yeah, I didn't see, or there was nobody talking to me. Thank God. I don't know if I would have been able to come back from that. But I did sense a darkness around my parents, like a really dark spirits were running the show here, and they were eating it up hook, line, and sewer. They were sold to darkness. And it was sad. I had to leave that environment and pursue what God wanted me to do, and God's been in charge really since then. He's really and that's another thing. I don't know if it's a he or a she, or I don't know if water can have a sex. I think it's just a go-to explanation of the Creator. I do know the Creator is omnipresent, and that's what the beauty of the Creator is as water, God is in us, around us, in the air. It gives life to plants that we eat. So as water, it fulfills the scripture. God does not come with observation, for the kingdom of heaven is within us. And I put that on my Facebook because it's like my favorite. Because that's when all the religions coalesced with me, and it just made sense at that point. I mean, even though I still know nothing, at least I've got the foundation part down where I can understand the anomaly of what the creator is. And the anomaly of what Jesus was not to pray to him, but to listen to him. He is the Word. He was endowed with the Word, with great wisdom, and that was temporary. If he did, whether he was crucified or not, he is in heaven with God, on the right hand of God, as Father and Son. But God is God, and the Son is the Son. They're separate. They're not the same. And the church is trying to tell you, everyone, that Jesus is God and to pray to Jesus and Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's like, no. You're like condemning these people. You're destroying the power of their prayer by insulting God. Just like when the Muslims pray to all constantly invoke Muhammad, they're insulting God. They're putting Muhammad before God. And you don't have to look for God. God's inside you. It's right there all the time. You just have to love yourself. Look in the mirror. Learn how to love your enemy. Once you learn how to love your enemy, then you can learn to love all our enemies. And that empowers you, gets rid of fear. The fear is gone. You won't have to live in fear. I don't live in fear. I mean, I have fearful moments, like the blood moon thing. I was outside and I was looking at it and I was scared. I don't know why I was scared, but it was scary for me for some reason, because it was a God thing. It was a God anomaly. It was a message. Like the stars to me in the sky, in the firmament, are a message. To me, it's like a braille code. It's a message. There's really a message there. We're supposed to figure it out. And perhaps they did. I suppose they could feed it into an AI computer and find out exactly what it says. I would love to hear what it says. If it's some kind of code, because even Bible people have found codes in the Bible. I don't know how that's possible, but that's very highly intellectual to manufacture a book and hide codes into it. I mean, that takes a lot of thought, and I mean, deep thought. I suppose they could do it in the underground.
The rewrites. The rewrites, right? They could encode things when they rewrote it, and every way they would need their code, and then they would base those sentences around whatever their code needed. Because I've seen people say that if you go every 26th letter and this happens in this, and it points to one book, and it's just like, it's fascinating, to hear some of that. But these were rewrites. And do you think, did it come from God, or did it come from these people that were wanting to encode things in the most well-known book, ever created?
Well, like, my intention was to retranslate the whole Bible and have a version that's untouched. That was my original initial goal when I started translating, was to do the whole Bible so people would be able to have a copy that hasn't been tampered with. And then it kind of veered into other areas where I started reading the other books and expanded my understanding. It really did. I didn't become a Muslim or become a Buddhist by reading their books. They weren't traps for me, but they were what these people from this geographical area believe. And I respect that. I don't put that down or condemn it. Whether I like what's in their book or not, I respect it because they respect it and they deserve my respect. If I want to learn about their book, I have to initially do it, with respect. Dr. D.
Dr. D Head.
We got some interesting clientele. We're ninja. Oh, yeah.
So we have someone, just want to let you know, there's someone named Judy Mikovits who we've had here on the Missing Link lots of times,
Mhm.
spamming everybody in the thing, saying, click on my profile, I've got something important to share with you, okay? And said it to about 10 different people. I went into Facebook and I blocked, and then it kept on coming up. So I went into StreamYard. So if anybody still sees this person or that comment, block them. They're obviously one of those scammers that just go and message every single person the same message and think that people are so stupid that they don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but scammers seem to be relentless.
Yeah, it's weird why they would choose a live to do such a thing. Judy, stop it. We're talking about God here. Do you have no soul?
No shame. No shame to scam while we're in like deep discussions about our creator.
You
In
really,
rum. Go ahead.
Joanna? Yes, the what was it? The truffles, chocolate truffles. C.S. Lewis. Yeah. Hmm.
So in Rumble, if you're watching this on Rumble, and we've got 50 people here watching on Rumble right now. If and you hear this, so there's a lot of times where a lot of people create fake the Missing Link accounts, the Missing Link podcast, the Missing Link live podcast. They got so many different. And what they do is when someone comments on a prior interview on Rumble, it pops up in my, emails. But if someone responds to someone's comment, I don't get a notification. So these scammers, they don't post to any comment, like an actual new comment. They'll just go and reply to everybody's comments. So sometimes there'll be a week go by and I didn't know that these scammers are going, but we don't have any alternate. We're not telling you to buy cryptos. We're not telling you any of these kind of things, but there's a lot of scammers that go into our Rumble and create fake, Missing Link profiles, and I'm constantly having to block them forever. I probably blocked at least 100 people on Rumble so far that have been scammers trying to scam people or whatever it is, lead them to their Telegram page and then or email, and then who knows what they do with them there. So
I wonder if
just
they.
know that.
I wonder if they use AI to do that, to find the people who have the most following or something.
Oh yeah, I don't know
Trigger.
about that, but I think it's just scammers. Like in our Telegram page, we got, like people constantly, trying to promote their crypto pages, and and it's like every time I see somebody do that. So if you're in our Telegram, please don't promote crypto, because you're going to be blocked. And like as soon as I see someone promoting any crypto, I just delete them right
Mhm.
away,
Yep,
because
me too.
that's the only scammers that we have or the ones that keep popping up are promoting or forex or crypto or whatever, some financial stuff. We're not giving you any financial advice. We're not giving you any medical advice. We're not giving you any
No,
spiritual advice. We're just giving you information, and you do your own research. You figure the stuff out, talk to people you trust. That's best. We're just trying to present as much different information as we can, and
hmm
then you decide what's best for you and your family. We're not telling anybody what to think, how to think, or
no,
what to do, or we're not telling anybody what you should or shouldn't do.
right.
But just, take what we take, learn as much as you can learn, and just, make the best decisions for you and your family during this time.
Yes, and if you have some chocolate truffles, Patrick Johnson and Johanna would like some.
Could we
And
get some?
I think if I could give my advice to anything is I think all the dating sites should put their resources together and just create a new site called What's Left. What's Left dating site. Instead of all these multiple dating sites that they have. Okay, that was my attempt at humor, but I think I have failed.
I'm not seeing any comments from Word Ninja. So, Dr. D Head, you're replying. I presume it means to start with the enemy within. I won't forget it. Word Ninja is not a popping up here on our StreamYard. So, I'm not sure who you're referring to, but
Oh yes, yes. We have to start if we want to learn how to love our enemy, we have to start with the one in the mirror, because truly we have been our own enemy until we decide to take a stand against ourselves and say, no, I'm not going to drink and drive. That's it, or whatever the other problem is. Yeah, that is the best way to start, and just forgive yourself, and then you can start moving outwards. And once you learn, it's easy. Because I love Justin Trudeau. Can you believe that? I do. I do. I trust him 100%. I mean, I'm like 3 brake cables away from loving Justin Trudeau.
apparently he's gone, and the new guy, the new sheriff in town, Mark Carney. Apparently he's axing the carbon tax,
Yes, of
which
course. It was brilliant. Brilliant
which
tactic.
which is probably a good thing. Whether it's a great tactic or not, people are going to be appreciative of that.
Yeah, but it was only tactical because the progressive conservatives were crying and screaming, axe the tax, axe the tax. And he just took that whole thing and went, boom, it's over. And he just demolished their whole sales pitch. So it was brilliantly, it was very tactical. And I don't know. I think they're going to cheat anyway. So they're just going to look at the polls and see how many they got, so they know how many mail-in ballots they're going to need for which area. They can cheat. They can use AI to get all their statistics, and they can guarantee a win. I mean, we do not have we do not have a free country. We don't. But if some of the single girls out there want to date me, you can find me on Carbon Dating for people my age.
They're going to figure out your real age.
Yeah, they will. They will. I will not tell a lie. I wouldn't host the truth table if I was a little liar. Anyway, joking aside, I do love our talks because we talk about things that really matter to everyone, and we do that because we care, and we have a lot of highly intelligent people that are also sharing. So I mean, it's beneficial for everyone. I was so glad I found the missing link. I just stumbled upon it, and show after show, I went, "Wow, that's incredible! That's amazing." So I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be here. I didn't think I qualified to be here, but I'm humbled that you think I am, that you think I'm qualified. But I know you will take anybody. He will take anyone off the street.
But that's not just it.
So
You earned it. You
oh,
earned it, because you said, you went into research, you wanted to take the scripture and you wanted to put it all, and then you started reading all these other, different religious texts, and you earned it. You put the work in. And when I saw you commenting, I was like, wow. I'm like, this is the type of person that I know that people will be able to benefit. And like, you earned it. Like, I didn't, you didn't just come out of somewhere and I think, oh yeah, I'll just pick you because I felt right. Like, I felt your words and your passion in your words about enlightening people of the work that you've put into research. And that's exactly the type of missing links that we're looking for, is someone exactly. So you earned it, man. Like, you're, when you think you're intelligent or not, you earned it with the work that you put in, just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I certainly do have an honest craving for the truth. But I'm thankful in so many ways. I mean, we're friends forever now. We'll
Yeah,
always
brother.
be friends, and we might disappear together on the 21st at midnight.
I told you I'm staying either way. So,
Oh, I don't know.
well,
What
I
it,
guess I don't maybe have a choice if I end up leaving,
imagine
but
it. Imagine it happening. And what would you do if me and Angeline just disappeared?
it's,
You would know
the,
what happened, right?
oh yeah, 100%. I'm like,
Okay.
I've, you
And you'll
know,
you'll tell
uh,
all the other 3D people
have
stuck
you
here.
ever have you ever read the book Left Behind?
Uh, the Obama movie.
No, with Kirk Cameron movie.
Oh,
So it
yep.
was I think, and Nick something, or no, what's his name? But I think Kirk Cameron was in the movie. And then the pilot was anyways, so there was a book called Left Behind. It's a spiritual, it's kind of talks about revelations. It talks about what would happen if people got taken. And so apparently this one airline pilot guy's on a pilot, and and all of a sudden they're on a plane, and then half of the plane just disappears. Their
Yeah.
clothes are left there, the pacemakers are left there, and then it goes through revelations. Well, I never really read too many books in my life. I just, learned from, studies or this or that, and read some papers, but I've never really read many books. And all of a sudden I got this book, and I read that book in like 2 days or 3 days, and I got the second one, and I got the third one, and I think I read the first 5 books in this series, because it was talking all about potential, of what's going to happen in these times. There's raptured, the people got raptured out of their, right out of, so half the world gets, or a quarter of the world or whatever, just gets raptured, and then people have to deal with what the heck just happened. Most people didn't know
Well,
if
this is what I expect. It explains what I think it might happen on the 20th at midnight. That we're just immediately, like, fraction of a second, we're just automatically jump started into 5D. So yeah, I wouldn't want to. If there was a way out of here, I wouldn't want to stay here. I definitely want to know, even if that means no more. There's no more procreation, for example. I would assume that it's just not necessary at that level. I don't know, and maybe if it is still procreation still does exist, is it like 5D incredible? Am I gonna be able to do yoga stuff and yoga positions, the Kama Sutra, or like am I gonna be suddenly flexible? And so that's what we have to do, though. See, that was me being positive in humor, but it's that's a part of what we have to be. Our state of mind has to be positive when all this happens. Otherwise, at worst, nothing will happen, and we're all going to be here going, "Well, shit, nothing happened, Jesse. We're still here. Either we're both bad, very bad, and we're on the naughty list, or it didn't happen, or everyone else is gone, and we're stuck here together. What if all the people listening left, and we
well,
were here?"
what's interesting to take is someone actually came on our show and said the reverse is going to happen of what they've taught. That's all the evil is going to be raptured out. The evil is going to be taken out. And we may all just be here. And these evil entities may be the ones, they say the goods are going to get raptured, but it could be just, and then we've got to pick up the pieces of, of the holes that are going to be left, and then figure out how we can bring people back together. So that to me sounds a lot more realistic.
Well, that's from yeah, that comes from multiple sources for me too. That evil is decimated, can't touch us anymore, and that could be what Alice Bailey is talking about. The Avatar basically wipes out evil, destroys it, starting with the Vatican, which is Latin. The Vatican is just sounds like Vatican, but it's Vatiscan, which is Latin, and they speak Latin in the Vatican, and it means divining serpent. So they're openly called in English divining serpent, but we call it the Vatican. So there's one deception that they pulled off on all of Western countries, North America. Everyone calls it the Vatican instead of the dividing serpent. But it's really weird though. The people that live there in Rome, they know it's a divining serpent. Like, why don't they talk about it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they know Latin, so they know what it means. Yet, it still hasn't spread to North America. That knowledge.
Is it the spell though, that they're under a spell, that thinking that they must be more of a spell than being in the belly of that serpent, being right there, or something that maybe they know if they talk about it then bad things happen to them, and so it's just something, something's left unsaid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, no matter what, this isn't a bad thing. This is not a doom and gloom. This is not the 2000 or 2012 Mayan calendar end of the world. This isn't that. This is the opposite. This is where all the evil gets destroyed, and we rise up, and we're purified. Our bodies are restored. I mean, it's all good, 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 good. Just not good for the people that don't rise up. So the best thing that we can do is teach people how to rise up. What do they have to do? You have to be positive. You have to live in a positive. I mean, and they all say the same thing. We have to unite under the banner of the forces of light against the forces of evil. It's really that simple. It's not complicated. And we can do it. We can do it. We have to, on our show, where on the 20th, we're going to be on Missing Link and the Truth Table at the same time. We're just both going to stream it. But we're probably going to start 10 or 11 and then go right across the midnight mark and see what happens. See who disappears. But I mean, we don't really have a lot of time. And I mean, Trump bombing Yemen doesn't really help the peace in the world kind of situation that we're hoping for. And there really is no more time to fulfill that. So we may have fire coming. And so I want to miss that fire, and I want you to miss it too, if it does happen. But generally, it's a positive thing. That didn't end well, did it?
Joseph says an interesting point. He says people in Rome don't know Latin, just maybe some of the clergy in Vatican City. So maybe that's Italian is different than Latin, and they don't actually, know what it actually means if they don't know Latin.
Yeah, and I didn't know to do that. God just led me to that word. Look it up. I looked it up, and you know what I mean? Like, God's been really, the creator's really behind all my research, everything. He's like ongoing with me in my ups and in my downs. It's just a permanent self existence existing together. I see God as the most selfless entity in the world. Very selfless and giving, graceful, full of grace, just offering itself to give us life. I mean, it's just the most beautiful thing you could ever do. It's like a mother and father and with their child. Will do anything just to make sure that that child never feels hunger. So I think we covered 2.5 hours almost.
Yeah,
Huh?
last I looked, it was 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. I was like, all I saw was, I was going to mention something, but you were on a roll there. So I had to
Sorry,
look.
yeah.
It was all two, 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 two. I was like, that's pretty cool.
And that's what we do. We both do it too. And we have to let each other roll because that's like the spirit moving through us. And yeah, we don't want to mess with that.
What's the
But
truth table? Where can people find you? How can people find you? How often are you on? Tell us a little bit about you.
the truth table also has my music. You can find my music there. Um, and on Rumble. Rumble's Peyton 1102. But you
Oh,
on YouTube, I am Enigma XLR. That's my name. You should be able to find just by typing in the truth table. But it's Enigma, and Enigma is my word for the creator. That's what I call God, an enigma. An, just out of this world, unexplainable phenomenon. Yep. Yeah, I don't even use reverb.
oh, you don't use that? Because that's the link. When I asked you for any links, this is
Yeah, that was my bad. My bad, my bad. That has my music on there, but it's under my old me. I deleted most of it because it was in 440. So now I'm restarting with 432, and that's the music in my podcast in the background, and that's just my way of healing, using the frequency of God's frequency, plant frequency, so benefits of plants, animals, mankind. And that was stolen from us in the 1950s, where they changed it to 440 megahertz. And that was so we could no longer benefit from it. So my part is just putting that music out, using it wherever I can. I use it in jingles. I've written jingles for people, a small scale farm, and so I can get that 432 out there. And it's a shame because even Beethoven wrote his piano was tuned to 432 hertz. But if you listen to Beethoven now, it's in 440. They changed it all to 440. So you won't hear any original YouTube. Yeah. Let me just. I'll put it on my playlist and just share the link. I don't know if this is going to work. Just in comments?
I'll put it in private chat. If you can put it in private chat, then I can put it in all the platforms.
Yeah, comments will just go to my own page, won't it? There it goes. Okay.
And anything
Enigma
else you wanted to
XLR.
share?
But that
Yeah.
has the truth table until they block, ban, strike me, because it is YouTube. So Peyton 1102 is my Rumble, which is a lot safer. It also has my music.
So if you
And
want to share that link on our
I'll share
private
that
private
too.
chat, that
Yep.
way people on our Rumble can link up with you if they choose to learn more from you.
Yeah, and I hope you get to watch my final show on the 20th in 3 days. Because I even told people, this is my last show. Not that I know, it's just that I'm hopeful. That would be awesome. I would love to be in 5D. I mean, 5D means I'm going to see things that weren't never there before, like animals that are 5D, like apple trees and cherry trees that are 5D, that never go bad. You know, everything is better in 5D because maybe the animals talk to us. What a terrifying thought that would be. Run into a cat. Hey, watch it, buddy. A little cat down, a little tiny cat. Hey, buddy, you got some food?
Well, the one thing I liked so much about you is that you're very optimistic and you're very, you see things with, kind of rose colored glasses, and you don't have the gloom and the doom, right? You see things more for what they are, and you're very optimistic and hopeful of things to come. And you really, believe that. You really know that inside of you. And, I really like that, because there's a lot of people that are scared and confused, and, people that are just, not knowing what is going on. And it feels like you have a firm comprehension of things, and you are optimistic about it.
Yeah, there is a piece, and it does remove the fear. Loving your enemy is a key for me. Is to remove fear. I do have fear sometimes, like the blood moon. I don't know why I felt creeped out and scared, but something about the blood moon that freaked me out. But I was fine afterwards. But generally, yeah, I don't want to live in fear, and I don't want to. I want people to be prepared, but not to scare them. Um, I just want them to be empowered. If I can help empower anyone. A422, 430. I don't know, Joseph. I heard 432. I'm in 432. Beethoven. Oh, okay.
So Joseph says, and he's been on the Missing Link. He's a good friend of ours. He's a piano teacher from New York. And he's says Beethoven composed at A 422, the middle of the 19th century, went to 435. Now, since the 50s, it's all 440. So Beethoven didn't even use our A, more like A flat.
Fascinating. Yeah. See, I have 432 here. I have it's orchestra tuned to 430 or 455 for his orchestra. So this is very complicated for me. I know the trumpet. When I had to write music for the orchestra, the trumpet and the French horn were in different keys, and it was very complicated. I did not enjoy that part. It's like, why aren't they just in the same key? Yeah, I would have to look into that, but I do see 432. But yeah, you got me. I'm going to definitely look into that. You must know about 432 and 440 megahertz, and but I mean, they don't teach you that in music school, really. As a teacher, you just have data like what you shared there. Is, Beethoven composed A 422, which is like so minuscule from 432. I mean, if you look at it on a scale, there's really not a lot of big gap in there, because from 440 to 432 is less than like a half a tone. So it's just so small little change. So 432 and 440. Oh yeah, 422. Anyway, I'll have to look it up, and you gave me something to look at. But
So
yeah, it's 432.
So I just did a search, and it says Beethoven primarily used a tuning fork that produced an A at 455.4 hertz, which was slightly higher than the A440 standard that became established later. Pre-standard tuning. Before the mid-20th century, there wasn't universally standardized tuning for musical instruments, and different regions and even individual orchestras sometimes use slightly different pitches. And then it says Beethoven's tuning fork. A tuning fork that was in Beethoven's possession until around 1803 was tuned to 455 hertz, not the modern 440. A equals 440 standard was not officially established until 1939 at an international conference in London. In Beethoven's time, the pitch instruments was generally between 415 and A 420. While not directly related to Beethoven, some people and musicians have explored the 432 frequency, claiming it has calming and soothing effects.
Well, that's what I hope for. I hope to create calming and soothing effects. But if you look at 432 and 440, when they use it on sand or on water, you'll notice the formation is showing how the 432 is much more beneficial and pretty to look at. But when I found out about it, I destroyed all my music and just restarted. I figured if I'm hurting people with my music, I do not want to do that. So I just said, nope, no, I'm going to redo everything. And I have. It's great.
That's pretty honorable to be able to destroy all your work because you're feeling that you didn't want to be participating in anything that has harm, and to start all over. So amazing. Thanks for coming here, hanging out with us here on the Missing Link Live. Angeline and I will see you on the 20th. You're thinking at 10 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, anytime after 10 would work. We just want to hit that 12 o'clock when Angeline turns into 5D.
Do a
It's
fairy.
like, no, I want to come. I want to come. And she'll be gone and we'll be stuck with each other. Oh. No, just kidding. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is the dates are there and something could happen. If nothing happens, that's fine too. Then it's just another hoax, a Luciferian hoax, perhaps. And I'm not totally falling for it, but I want to be prepared for it. And the key to being prepared is just being positive. And that's what we're going to do from now till then.
Sounds good, brother. Well, thanks for, being a part of another awesome show here on the Missing Link Live. Love chatting with you. Tomorrow we've got Ido Samuelson. So he's a tech guy, a Jewish tech guy who was working in the auto industry, started exposing that they were spying on people, doing recalls, and getting all the data information from all the cars. And he's been a targeted individual ever since. They've tried to destroy his life in every way possible. And he's even a Jewish guy. So, it's not above, any of them to target anyone who causes a disruption in the force, or not the source, but the force. For they're the force and we are the source. So
we're only one snip away from becoming Jews. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you all for watching our show.
You're very, very welcome. And that's tomorrow is another evening show. So that's tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific. May the source be with you all during this pivotal time in history. May you all fly freely, whenever the time says.
No mask.
Thanks for all joining, here with us today. Thanks for all your comments, energy, hearts, shares, stars. We love all your support, however that may be. Let's all face infinity without flinching, for one love, one heart, one life. Namaste, everyone. And if they ever ask you to put on a breathing inhibitor again, Paul, you know what to say?
No mask.
No maske.
No.
I love when we have people here and I say that and they hear it for the first time and they just laugh, and it's really it's an amazing part of the show because just seeing people and their reactions is great.
No mask.
Okay, you guys all have a great night. We'll see you next time we see you back here on the Missing Link. Bye, everyone. Bye, Angeline. Good seeing you here.